Advice to students. The true consciousness is the true health. One says, I find relief from pain in unconscious sleep. I say, you mistake. Through unconsciousness, one no more gains freedom from pain than immunity from evil. When unconscious of a mistake, one thinks he is not mistaken. But this false consciousness does not change the fact or its results. Suffering and mistakes recur until one is awake to their cause and character. To know the what, when, and how of error destroys error. The error that is seen aright as error has received its death blow, but never until then. Let us look through the lens of Christian Science, not of self, at the following mistake which demands our present attention. I have no time for detailed report of this matter, but simply answer the following question sent to me, glad indeed that this query has finally come with the courage of conviction to the minds of many students. Is it right to copy your works and read them for our public services? The good which the material senses see not is the only absolute good. The evil which these senses see not is the only absolute evil. If I enter Mr. Smith's store and take from it his garments that are on sale, array myself in them, and put myself and them on exhibition, can I make this right by saying, these garments are Mr. Smith's, he manufactured them and owns them, but you must pay me, not him, for this exhibit? The spectators may ask, did he give you permission to do this? Did he sell them or loan them to you? No. Then have you asked yourself this question on the subject, namely, what right have I to do this? True, it saves your purchasing these garments and gives to the public new patterns which are useful to them, but does this silence your conscience? Or, because you have confessed that they are the property of a noted firm and you wish to handle them, does it justify you in appropriating them and so avoiding the cost of hiring or purchasing? Copying my published works verbatim, compiling them in connection with the Scriptures, taking this copy into the pulpit, announcing the author's name, then reading it publicly as your own compilation is what? We answer, it is a mistake. In common parlance, it is an ignorant wrong. If you should print and publish your copy of my works, you would be liable to arrest for infringement of copyright, which the law defines and punishes as theft. Reading in the pulpit from copies of my publications gives you the clergyman's salary and spares you the printer's bill. But does it spare you our master's condemnation? You literally publish my works through the pulpit instead of the press, and thus evade the law, but not the gospel. When I consent to this act, you will then be justified in it. Your manuscript copy is liable in some way to be printed as your original writings, thus incurring the penalty of the law and increasing the record of theft in the United States Circuit Court. To the Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, which I had organized and of which I had for many years been pastor, I gave permission to cite in the Christian Science Quarterly from my work, Science and Health, passages giving the spiritual meaning of Bible texts. But this was a special privilege and the author's gift. Christian Science demonstrates that the patient who pays whatever he is able to pay for being healed is more apt to recover than he who withholds a slight equivalent for health. Healing morally and physically are one. Then is compiling and delivering that sermon for which you pay nothing and which you deliver without the author's consent and receive pay therefor, the precedent for preaching Christian Science? And are you doing to the author of the above-named book as you would have others do unto you? Those authors and editors of pamphlets and periodicals whose substance is made up of my publications are morally responsible for what the law construes as crime. There are startling instances of the above-named law-breaking and gospel-opposing system of authorship, which characterize the writings of a few professed Christian scientists. My Christian students, who have read copies of my works in the pulpit, require only a word to be wise. Too sincere and morally statuesque are they to be long led into temptation. But I must not leave persistent plagiarists without this word of warning in public, since my private counsel they disregard. To the question of my true-hearted students, is it right to copy your works and read them for our public services? I answer, it is not right to copy my book and read it publicly without my consent. My reasons are as follows. First, this method is an unseen form of injustice standing in a holy place. Second, it breaks the golden rule, a divine rule for human conduct. Third, all error tends to harden the heart, blind the eyes, stop the ears of understanding, and inflate self. Counter to the commands of our hillside priest, to whom Isaiah alluded thus, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. Behind the scenes lurks an evil which you can prevent. It is a purpose to kill the Reformation begun and increasing through the instructions of science and health with key to the Scriptures. It encourages infringement of my copyright and seeks again to cast lots for his vesture, while the perverter preserves in his own consciousness and teaching the name without the spirit, the skeleton without the heart, the form without the comeliness, the sense without the science of Christ healing. My students are expected to know the teaching of Christian Science sufficiently to discriminate between error and truth, thus sparing their teacher a task and themselves the temptation to be misled. Much good has been accomplished through Christian Science Sunday services. If Christian scientists occasionally mistake in interpreting revealed truth of two evils, the less would be not to leave the word unspoken and untaught. I allowed, till this permission was withdrawn, students working faithfully for Christ's cause on earth, the privilege of copying and reading my works for Sunday service, provided they each and all destroyed the copies at once after said service. When I should so elect and give suitable notice, they were to desist from further copying of my writings as aforesaid. This injunction did not curtail the benefit which the student derived from making his copy, nor detract from the good that his hearers received from his reading thereof. But it was intended to forestall the possible evil of putting the divine teachings contained in Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures into human hands to subvert or to liquidate. I recommend that students stay within their own fields of labor to work for the race. They are lights that cannot be hid, and need only to shine from their home summits to be sought and found as healers, physical and moral. The kindly shepherd has his own fold and tends his own flock. Christian students should have their own institutes and unmolested be governed by divine love alone in teaching and guiding their students. When wisdom garrisons these strongholds of Christian Science, peace and joy, the fruits of Spirit will rest upon us all. We are brethren in the fullest sense of that word. Therefore, no query should arise as to who shall be greatest. Let us serve instead of rule, knock instead of push at the door of human hearts, and allow to each and every one the same rights and privileges that we claim for ourselves. If ever I wear out from serving students, it shall be in the effort to help them to obey the 10 Commandments and imbibe the Spirit of Christ's Beatitudes.